I just thought if we just record this whole bloody thing and I'll be like, oh my god. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very lovely special guest, Ange Sinclair from the Digestive Detective. Now, she is my naturopath and also a nutritionist, herbalist and aromatherapist, so a woman of all trades. And the reason I've got her here today is we're going to go through some questions and have a big chat about how to prepare your body for pregnancy, because I feel like this is so important and a lot of women don't think about it consciously before they are thinking of having their first child or even a second or third child. And it's something that I kind of came across because I had fertility issues, and then I didn't even realize just how important it was to really know what kind of health status I had prior to falling pregnant. So we're going to talk about lots of things today. It's going to be a little bit laid back. We've both got some notes, obviously, because we want to make sure the information we give you is correct. And I've got some questions to ask Ange, and we're just going to have a good little chat. To start off, why is it important to assess your health prior to falling pregnant? And if you didn't, if you just went and got pregnant, which a lot of women do, what implications could occur?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. You know, it gives you an opportunity to go and get a really good health check, for one. Yep. And there's lots of implications around falling pregnant and being pregnant, about how healthy the baby can be. So by having a health check, you sort of minimise any risks. So if there's long-term health problems or unforeseen health problems that you haven't even thought about yet, like you've got insulin resistance or high blood pressure or those sorts of things, they will impact on actual birth, you know, because you could go on to get preeclampsia and that morning sickness thing where you get that hypergravidus. Yep. So those sorts of things. But also, if you have a long-term medical condition like you've got rheumatoid arthritis or you're celiac or you've got diabetes, those things all need to be addressed as well. So I think that's really important that we do that. We also need to think about things like addressing our microbiome, whether you work with chemicals or whether your husband works with chemicals, because that's all stored in your body. So breaking through all of that stuff, getting a real good look at all that can really make the difference between a good birth and a fantastic birth.
True. Wow, that's a lot of information. I didn't even think about it as well.
There's a stack, isn't there?
Yeah. So how long before thinking, like obviously it's going to be dependent on what kind of health issues you may have, but how long before you're thinking of starting to try to conceive or planning to fall pregnant, should you worry about your health status, and like who should you see? What are the first steps? So
to start with, I would say 6 months, but between 4 and 6 is perfect. And you can see a doctor to start. Now, look, I think it's not an them or us. It's you should see a doctor and you should see a naturopath and a massage therapist or a kinesiologist or whatever you want to work with. But I think and a nutritionist. I think it's really important to have a team rather than just do one thing. You know, I think we work much better as a team. And if there is complications, it's always good to know that there's a doctor in your team that can help out and do stuff with you. Rather than just being, a naturopath on his side.
Like to one person.
Yeah. So I think that's really important to start with. And I think things like getting tested is good. Lots of different testing throughout, and we'll run through what that testing is. I think that's invaluable as well. So 4 to 6 months gives you a good time. And depending on, you need to treat both partners to start with. I think that's really important. And a lot of women think, it's just up to me, but it's not. Men are 50% of the gene pool, and there's a lot of things that go wrong with men, even though men don't think that there is. They also work traditionally in jobs where they're exposed to a lot more chemicals and stuff than we are. So it's probably a good thing to get them on the wagon as well. And it's really good to be in a place of good health before you go and start another life. Because their life really depends on how your health is. So I think that's really important.
That's so true. I remember when this was years ago, but both my husband and I went and saw a kinesiologist, and he was working at a supermarket at that time, and he'd been working for years there. And she said to him, like, there's a lot of toxicity I'm getting and pesticides. She said, do you work in produce? And he goes, yeah, I've worked in produce for like the last 40 years. And she's like, yeah, I'm getting a really high pesticide reading. And I was like, wow, I did not even think that his exposure to all those pesticides was showing up in his body, and obviously he's got a different job now, but for years, but even that sort of led us into the path of eating organic foods and stuff like that. But that was really an eye-opener for me about toxicity in everyday life, just like your job.
And it's prevalent, you know, if your husband's a panel beater or you're a dry cleaner.
All those fumes.
Or you sell tiles, sealants, or you're a painter, or you know, there's a whole stack of things that really can impact, and even the everyday stuff like how you walk along the street and how much pollution you're exposed to, that all factors in too. How often you're exposed to Wi-Fi radiation, all those things play a part, because that all affects DNA, and so it's really important to think about that too. So can we talk about the blood test? So the basic blood tests that probably are good for you are thyroid, basic bloods, your vitamin D levels, iron, iodine level, your fasting glucose, your fat profile, so your lipids profile, just for your cholesterol and things, your blood group, any STI infections, even if you haven't got any, you should still get screened for them, and your rubella. Hormones, zinc copper ratio, because that can be disrupted by the pill, because the pill mucks around with your copper level. And it can be raised long term using the pill. So, you know, those things are really good to have a look at straight away. So if there is any issues, then you can work towards fixing those at the outset. So for your hubby though, he should also have a full blood count, lipids, fasting glucose, the insulin, the blood groups, the STI screen, and then go on to do semen analysis, sperm count, motility, morphology, so how they move, the volume of semen, and the pH levels. Because alcohol, cigarette smoke, environmental pollutions, EMF, all those things affect sperm quality. So it's really good, rather than just trying to have a baby and it doesn't work, to know that stuff from the outset.
Yeah, true. Tick all your boxes.
And then you can work towards, in that 4 to 6 months, working into getting the sperm quality as great as it can be before you try to conceive. So, you know, it's really worth going to do that beforehand. Yeah.
So does a GP do all of those tests?
So a GP can. So tests that I'd want to do as a naturopath, and I'm not a fertility naturopath, so these are the basic tests that I would do, but there are several fertility naturopaths that I'll give you the names of some of those.
I'll put in the notes for that as well.
I think that some that I really know are super specialists in it. We would do a stool test, a comprehensive stool test, to find out how your gut is before preconception, and also I would do a heavy metal test to see if you are your toxicity level. If you are carrying toxins, let's remove them from your body, so you're not actually going to struggle to get pregnant and to carry on. So they're two things that I would do, and I'd probably also test you for MTHFR, which is a gene for folate acid production in your body, and that can impact on fertility, periods, hormones, a whole stack of other things.
Yeah, I definitely had that test done. Obviously, I didn't know you back then, but with another fertility naturopath, and that was a big eye-opener for me. I was like, what is the MTHFR gene? And just how important it is to be able to absorb folinic acid and your body using it, because that's like one of the most important elements at the beginning of pregnancy, isn't it? And that helps prevent
one of them.
spina bifida.
But well, it does. But one of the things for me is more than a third of the population have some sort of default in their MTHFR.
Yeah,
I don't think that you need to get too worked up in it. But if you've had a history of miscarriages, or you're having trouble getting pregnant, that is definitely one of the things that I would investigate at the outset.
That's what was me. I was struggling to fall pregnant, and it's basically as soon as we kind of got that last puzzle, the piece of the puzzle, everything just started to work for me. So that, I think that's important. Again, if you have, you ticked off all your other boxes.
Yes, and I think I actually think it's worth doing at the outset, because then and both of you should get it, and then you know what you're working towards. So I think that just makes it a little bit easier. Yep.
Okay, so many women, when they're trying to conceive, don't even really know. Like, I didn't even know that I had PCOS, for example, so fertility issues, and that's something obviously that it's like a roadblock for me. It took me much longer because of finding that out and stuff like that. If someone comes to you, and I know you said you're not a specialist fertility naturopath, but if they come to you knowing they've got PCOS and endometriosis, is there a sort of different process for them, and is there different tests, or is there a different time frame, or what some of the issues that those might occur rather than just other health issues?
They are a greater concern for people because there are inherent problems around both those things. So probably to explain endometriosis for people who don't know, it's where the cells of the cervix morph and they go outside the cervix. They travel around the body, and they're like bowel, bladder, all around other organs, and they make life much more difficult.
Very painful.
It is really painful. That it has no cure, but and we don't really even know about endometriosis, what causes it, or how it happens.
I read that.
There are some things that it's autoimmune, that there's an autoimmune process, and it is quite an individual journey for everybody. There's 4 or 5 different stages, and that makes it difficult for people to find out. And one thing that I'd like to say about endometriosis, it cannot be diagnosed by an ultrasound. I hear people all the time saying, well, my doctor diagnosed me by an ultrasound. You have to have a laparoscopy. That's the like gold standard. Yeah, they actually do the little camera thing, and they have keyhole surgery, and they
I've heard that. Yeah,
it has to be diagnosed with that, because otherwise they're just
too hard. Yeah,
they really are. Just, they might, even if they're an expert in their field, if you want to know for sure, get a laparoscopy, and make sure you ask. You want to ask the surgeon's credentials, and you want to know that he's
do your research.
Yeah, really do your research, because it is a condition, and we don't really know too much about it, but it can have a profound effect on pregnancy and the pain level and everything else that comes along with that in your life. So that's important. I guess we should talk about just how people get it. So they think family history, a retrograde menstrual flow, and the conversion of normal pelvic tissue into endo, and they have no idea why that happens. Which is really interesting.
That must be so frustrating. At least with PCOS, there's some sort of
even
not as much. But
they still don't really know.
With endometriosis, a lot of women are like, I just have this unexplainable pain, and no one can tell me where it's coming from and really how to fix it. So
but there's which is really interesting. I've actually had a client with adenomyosis, which is one of the types of endometriosis, and she had no pain, but she just had heavy bleeding that couldn't be controlled by anything else. So when she had the laparoscopy and stuff, they went, okay, we know what's going on now. So it's really interesting how they present. So a couple of things for people with endo: pain during or after sex, pain before your periods, abdominal, back or pelvic pain, pain when you go to the toilet for a wee or a poo, because the cells adhere to the bladder and bowel walls. It can really change how your bowel habits is. What else? Pain before your period, breathing, bleeding longer than normal. Ovulation pain that's in your thigh or runs down your leg. So they're quite diverse symptoms when you
wouldn't even think that's related.
So it's good if you have any of those things really that have gone on for a long time and they're unexplained, then go and get a check.
True, that makes sense.
I think that's and you don't need to necessarily have pain, but lots of people do. So for endo.
What about PCOS?
And PCOS, well, we know that it's a hormonal disorder, and so one of the things we do know that it's around insulin resistance. And I think that's important, because that's something that we can make a change to. And again, this is one that doesn't appear the same in everybody, because lots of people get different things too. What was your experience of it?
See, I had no pain or anything like that. Basically, mine was just irregular cycles from the day that I got my period when I was 12 up until went on the pill, which obviously masks everything, but then I got off the pill. Never, ever, ever had a regular cycle. And then obviously trying to fall pregnant, I thought I addressed all my health issues and I was still not regular, and so that was for me. And then obviously when I had an ultrasound, they could see like all the follicles, like lots and lots of follicles, and then not one of them growing bigger than the others to release an egg. If that's right. That was just for me. And so I think my hormones actually, like in a blood test, were fine. They weren't actually indicating PCOS. But for me, it was just the irregular periods and the ultrasound showing the follicles.
So that's interesting that they're the two you picked. I'll give you a couple of others. No periods or periods are irregular, which is you. Infrequent or really heavy. Cysts on the ovaries, but not for everybody.
No, I didn't have any cysts.
Immature eggs, but not for everybody. And you don't ovulate. Excessive body hair, especially on your face.
Yes,
darkened skin patches that you can get on you. Really extreme mood changes. Depression, anxiety, and sleep issues. Sleep apnea is a really big thing in PCOS.
Okay.
So,
that's interesting.
so there's a whole raft of things that you wouldn't think of.
Actually,
again, as a
linked.
hormonal issue. So it's really good if you have any of those to then go and just have a test and get it looked at.
And so for people who think that they might have those issues, where do you go? Like, is a GP the best place to go firstly? Like, if you're having irregular periods, painful, and like all those symptoms that you said?
I would definitely put a doctor in there. I would definitely go for a doctor's visit because they can help you do some of the testing.
Yeah, they can refer on to
and then it would be really great to see a naturopath as well, or a nutritionist, because I think there's a lot of things, especially with PCOS, diet-wise,
lifestyle as well,
and lifestyle that you can actually do. Exercise is a must. Keeping your blood sugar stable is a must. So those two things really hold hands with each other. So I think that's a really easy thing to do.
Yeah, perfect.
So, and there are lots and lots of herbs as changes and nutritional supplements that can change how the symptoms are. So I think that's really important.
So I know a lot of people, and this is another huge topic, everyone goes to their GP. Obviously, it's free and it's accessible and it's close to your area, but I know a lot of people are unfamiliar and a bit against the idea of going and seeing a naturopath. Obviously, there's costs involved, but I really honestly believe, like you said, they both have their significant roles. Why should someone not only just see a GP, but go and see a naturopath or some sort of other health professional?
Okay, I guess for me, I think it's really important to go and see the doctor, for one, to rule out any medical issues. And I think that's a really good place to start. And a doctor goes through medical school and has a 4-hour lecture on nutrition. So, and as you see, a lot of doctors are really overweight and really unhealthy. So, you're not going to be taking nutritional advice from somebody that's had no nutrition skills. And there's a lot of, and with me, because I see a lot of gut issues, and I hear people come back from their gastroenterologist and say, food doesn't play a part. Well, that's the biggest thing that goes through your digestive system. How is it possible that food doesn't play a part? That's just blows my mind. So there are a lot of dietary strategies that are really great for pregnancy, about keeping your blood sugar level, about feeding your gut bacteria and all that sort of stuff, growing a child that's got adequate nutrients, that's got adequate iodine, and that you're having adequate DHA to help the baby's brain. So there's all those things that doctors know textbook what you've got to do, but they don't know the whole holistic picture. And I think that's why seeing a naturopath can really make a difference for you. Yeah, and especially I think if someone's going to a GP and just constantly not progressing or getting any answers, I know a lot of people just keep going back or they find another one. I definitely think, like you said, looking elsewhere and being open to other health professionals and letting everybody work as a team. Everybody has their strengths. There are strengths that a GP has, and they can enable you to go and get tests done and stuff like that. But I agree. I think it's really important to work together. Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think it's for all of us. It's about working within the parameters that we're set for us. Like if I got my arm chopped off, I'm not going to go to a naturopath. I'm going to go to a doctor. I'm going to go to the emergency department. So true. Everyone has their specialty. But if you come in and you've got an ectopic pregnancy, you're not going to come to a naturopath. You're going to go to a doctor. So going to the doctor is the first place. I want to get pregnant. I want to do this. I want to be screened. These are the things, and then go and get health and lifestyle advice from a naturopath who can then, and then you can work in conjunction with your doctor to get to where you need to be, which is a great outcome. Yeah, perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So we're going to touch a little bit on supplements because I know this is completely individual and I know you're really passionate about stressing that supplements are not just something you go and self-diagnose. But are there any supplements that you could recommend that would be safe for the general person trying to fall pregnant, or what are some like absolute must-haves, or not? Do you think that strictly you must
get advice, like from a naturopath about supplements?
Look, I think you should get advice. I think that's really important. But I think we all know that we need folic acid or folinic acid. You know, for me, I prefer to use the methylated one. So methylfolate or folinic acid are probably your best two sources. And I know that, you know, on the TV, a company that's got a huge marketing budget like Elevate, they say that they're the best supplement. But really, if you look at that as to a practitioner supplement, there really is not a therapeutic dose of herbs that will help in pregnancy, supplements or nutrients that will help in pregnancy in Elevate. My other problem with those sort of generic ones you buy from the supermarket is so I've just recently done a blog post about why you shouldn't buy your supplements at the same place you buy your toilet paper, because I think for the reason is that, you know, they're not going to be great supplements.
Yeah, that's true.
They often are filled with fillers. So what fillers are used for is because micronutrients are quite small, and they, you know, if they're making a tablet or a capsule, it takes a lot to fit in there, and they're going to make the cheapest supplement they can. So they can, you know, get the most back they can. So they add lots of fillers, and some of the fillers in there, like titanium dioxide. So titanium dioxide is something that they line tennis courts with. And it's in plenty of foods. So I'm not sure that, you know, I'm trying to have a baby and I want to be ingesting titanium dioxide. So lots of fillers. There's lots of gluten and lactose and things like that, and corn and soy that they chuck into those fillers as well. So it's, you know, when you're buying a practitioner brand, you're not likely to be getting a lot of those things. Well, getting none of them, hopefully, if you get the right supplement. So that's just something to watch out for, because, you know, we are more exposed to corn and lactose and gluten, and people have more reactions to them. So you don't want to be creating extra inflammation in your body when you're trying to reduce your inflammation.
Yeah. So that's good. So the practitioner brands are obviously only
available from a practitioner,
which is a naturopath like yourself.
Or a nutritionist. Not necessarily a chiropractor. You know, I think that they have to have nutritional training to be dispensing, you know, nutritional supplements. I think that's a really important thing. And I do know lots of chiropractors have gone into that, but unless they've had formal nutritional training, I would question whether they're the right person to be giving you supplements to help you grow your baby.
Yeah, and I think even myself from past experience, even personal trainers, is that giving me supplements, the amount of things that I've bought and then not knowing if they're actually making a difference, and I've wasted my money, I've wasted my time, and I don't even know if what I'm putting in my body is necessary. And that's why I, again, love just going to a naturopath who I know has the background in there, and they're giving me stuff that's relevant for me, that's safe, and I'm not wasting my money, and it's good quality. So I think that's really important, rather than just reading something on the internet and going to the chemist.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you and I discovered, that when you are given supplements like that from a lot of different people, you're actually over prescribing in some supplements. You know, for example, magnesium. You know,
I was taking 5 things that had added magnesium in them and wondering why.
Yeah. And so that's important when it comes to things like zinc or iron or iodine even, because that can be toxic at a selenium at a higher dose. Yeah. You know, so it's really important that you have one person that's, you know, guiding you through what you should have, and that's the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, okay, that's some really good info there. So lastly, we're going to touch on a little bit about diet. Is there, I don't know if this is even a right question, but is there a kind of blanket preconception diet that you would recommend, or like are there certain foods you should avoid or start to include in your diet that can enhance fertility and health and reducing inflammation and toxicity and all those things that we've talked about? Or again, is that something completely individual depending on the health issues present?
Well, I think it's both. It can be an individual process. So, and again, working with a practitioner will get you to what diet is right for you, because there's not one right for everybody. But as a general blanket description, I think whole foods. I think if you stay away from anything that comes in a packet, which is great because it's high salt, high fat, not necessarily, you know, once it's processed, it's not the best nutrients you can have. Buy organic if you can, and if you can't, follow the clean 15 and the dirty dozen.
Yeah, I've seen your blog post about that. I'll tag that below. That's really good, because I know a lot of people can't afford to buy organic, but there's certain foods that you should try to, and then others that you can get away with.
And look, I hear that sometimes people can't buy organic, but there's some things you should definitely buy. And I'll also look at Lettuce Deliver. There's a good company called Lettuce Deliver that you can, you know, individually buy separate things. So I think it's really important. We know things like berries, potatoes, they're really highly sprayed. So it's really good to buy those. If you can only afford to buy one thing, buy those.
True,
that lightens your toxic load, and I think that's important.
Is that things like the way I understand it, like if you eat something that you eat the skin, or something that, you don't peel, so for example a banana would be less likely to have pesticides in the actual banana because you're peeling the skin, whereas grapes, berries, you're actually eating the skin. Is that right?
Probably, sort of.
Or is it the way it's grown?
Well, no, sort of. So bananas probably would be affected because the skin is porous. So, and things like rock melon, their skin's porous as well. As we know with the latest salmonella outbreak. So I think look at things, soft fruit and vegetables. They tend to be the ones that take up pesticides the most. Like lettuces and berries especially. And in Australia, strawberries are the only country, we're one of the few countries left in the world where they actually put fungicide on the actual roots of the plants before they put them in the ground. So they're already tainted before they even start to grow. So it's been banned in most other countries of the world except here. So so strawberries are one that you definitely should look at getting organic. So for diet-wise, though, I would be looking at whole foods. So lots of sea-caught fish, lots of good quality protein, and it doesn't have to be a lot of protein. So you're only wanting protein the size of your hand. And you want good quality fruit and vegetables. You want to try and get 8 different coloured fruits and vegetables every day. That's for my gut health bit.
I've been trying to stick to that.
And I think that's really important because we know that for good gut health we need fibre, and we need to feed the bacteria lots of phytochemicals, and fruit and vegetables each have their own set of unique phytochemicals. So to eat only broccoli and potatoes, you're only getting one small portion of that, and we know we've got 1,000 gut bugs, and we know that they really love to be fed lots of different things. So moving it and changing it up is really quite good. And I think lots of healthy fats, because healthy fats help hormones. So olive oil, butter, coconut oil, those sorts of things. What else? I think legumes are really important because, again, we've moved right away from legumes. Everybody says that they're very dangerous, and they're high lectins, and they can be, but properly prepared, they again grow good gut bacteria, and they really regulate the inside of your digestive tract. So I think they're important to include as well. So I think that there's probably the most important things. But top tips: stay away from anything that comes in a packet.
And for PCOS and endometriosis, I don't know if this is correct, but I just remember reading and hearing at the time that lower carb, higher good quality fat diets help with the hormone.
They can, but again, that's an individual thing. I'd actually, I would suggest that they, have a really good conversation about and get a diet breakdown of what they're actually eating now and how they can improve. I think because the problem I see now with all the low carb, high fats, being low carb for women especially can really mess with your thyroid and can mess with your hormones as well, because when you're too low carb, your thyroid goes out of whack and it actually can stop the period. And I particularly see that around F45, the diet that they give women. Women shouldn't be under 50 grams of carbs a day. They should be closer to 120 grams of carbs. I think that's a really important message to get out there. I see so much. I actually once had a 38-year-old woman who said she was menopausal. Her doctor diagnosed her as menopause. And when I did her diet diary, and one day she ate no carbs. Nothing. So she would go days with no carbs, and then she'd hit a 50 and she was waking up with night sweats. She couldn't focus. She had brain fog. She was always hot and clammy. And in 2 weeks, when she started to eat carbs properly on a regular basis, the whole thing changed. So it's really, and it's really important to remember we need carbs to function.
So many people think that carbs are the enemy.
I know they do, and they're really not. They really are not.
All right, cool. I think we've touched on heaps of awesome information today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you guys got heaps of info out of the video. Put in the notes below Ange's website, because you do online consults as well as she's located in Sydney, and anything else we've talked about I'll put in the notes below. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.